right, good morning. Well, this is our third session with Mesa, and I've been working with him off and on during the week. I think I've had 3 other times where I brought him in and worked with him a little bit, but I haven't introduced anything new to him, and today we're going to introduce a few new things. But anyway, that's kind of what we've done this week. So we want to work today on just more of that direction, and we also want to work on how I call it a pointing exercise, but I'll kind of show you more about it. I'm sure there's another name for it that's better than that. But anyway, I'll show you more about that as we get going. The other thing I want to do today is I want to bring the red colt in here, and I'm going to try something with him, and we'll see if it works. It might not work. So if it doesn't work, then you'll know, like, you won't see the red colt at the end of the video because we'll edit it out. Anyway, I'll explain more as we get going, but we're going to bring him in here today too and kind of get him started as well. So I'll just show you a couple things on this colt and what we're doing. Again, it won't go over everything every time because that would just take too long, but I've already brushed him off. I've put the ropes around his legs, worked him a little bit in here, kind of got him where, you know, we've gone over everything. And so anyway, didn't want to show all that on the video, but I'm going to go ahead and just push him out and work him in a circle for a minute, do some round pen with him for a second, and then I'll show you the next thing that we're going to add to what he's doing. So let me grab this whip right here. All right. I'm going to bring him out here in the middle, and I hope you can see this. The camera doesn't catch the whole round pen. So anyway, hope you can see this, but I just want to again let him know, hey, this is just the buggy whip, and it's not hurting him or anything like that. Kind of get him desensitized a little bit. Had some good comments this last week on our video, and wanted to talk just for a second about some of those comments. This horse is incredibly calm, and this process is pretty easy, and I'm going to attribute that to disposition and breeding with this colt. I mean, he just picks up on things quick, he's not easily bothered, and he's not overly reactive. At the same time, might be a downside to that. He might be lazy when we're riding him. I don't know. We'll find that out. He might not have as much like push and drive as another kind of colt. So what's perfect is when you get all of that in one package. You get the gentle, good disposition with lots of drive and push to him without being overly reactive. So anyway, yeah, this colt, he's definitely the exception and not the rule. So, okay, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to bring him out in here and get him working a little bit here. He's also a little bit on the lazy side right here, and he usually makes me push on him a little bit. Now he's going to get his wiggles out, which is good. But he kind of needs to go through this warm-up. If you don't warm your colt up, okay, see how he turned his butt to me right there? If he does that again, he's going to get a smack right on the behind. That's an absolute, him being dominant over me is him turning his butt and kicking like that. Okay, can't let him get away with that. I'm going to put a little bit of pressure on him. Let him know that, no, I'm the leader in here, not you. And that's not a big deal, but it is something you want to correct, right? Like you don't want that going on. I'm just going to get his attention here a little bit. Say by putting a little bit of pressure on him. He wanted to stop or whoa right there, and I didn't tell him to whoa, so we're making him go on around. Okay, I'm gonna whoa him and go the other direction with him. Whoa, whoa. Good. You can see how quick he's learned that and how he's picked that up. I'm gonna let him stand there for a second. And before I let him stop, bring him into me. Okay, now we're gonna give him a little bit of a rest and let him think about that for a second. The other thing just to be aware of is that everything you do in here is communicating with this horse. And so even the way that I'm standing right now is communicating to him. I'm not facing him up directly. I'm not posturing up to him. I'm kind of looking at the ground. I'm just not having him feel any pressure right here. And as a result, he stepped a little bit closer to me. He felt like, okay, things are good. Okay, so I'm going to get him going the other direction. And we just kind of point. And I move to his hip. Now, I'm staying back a little bit from that hip because he kicked out at me a minute ago. So I'm going to stay out of kick range. Good. I really like to see him have a little bit of life. One thing I don't know if you can see in the video or not, but I have a log here on the ground. That's there on purpose. It's not just junk in the round pen. I like the horse to see things and think when they're going around like this. I want them to watch where their feet are and pay attention to that. Let's speed him up a little bit and get him to lope out. There we go. Okay, good. Now I'm going to whoa him right over here. We're going to go through the same thing again. Whoa, whoa. Okay, great. Now, I don't know if you can see that, but he was licking and chewing right there just a little bit. Okay, I'm going to bring him into me before I give him a complete rest. Whoa. Okay, good. Now I'm going to turn away from him, drop the lead, and just let him think about all that for just a second. Let him have a little bit of a rest. I'm also going to kind of rub on him for a second. This rubbing on him is part of him being able to relax. And for some horses, rubbing on them is not part of the relaxing. It's actually putting pressure on them. So you got to do a lot of that, get them desensitized to it, get them to where they like it. Okay, so I'm going to show you this pointing exercise because I think we're ready for that. And I'll tell you why we do this. We do it because a horse, for us, I need them sometimes to move. And so if I'm trying to move their feet, if I want the horse over here, I want to be able to just point like this and have the horse move over there. Or I want to be able to point to this side and have the horse move over there. If I'm loading a horse in a trailer, I don't always tie our horses in the trailer. In fact, a lot of times we don't tie him up in the trailer. But if I need this horse to get in, let's say I'm loading him with some cows in the trailer, I want to be able to point in the trailer and have him just go get in the trailer. And so that's the purpose of this exercise, okay? So let me adjust the video a little bit because I'm going to be working off this fence over here. So let me adjust it where you can see it a little bit better. Okay, hopefully you can see that. I'm going to bring him down here, right in here, and I'm going to work on this right here in this section of fence, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is I've got to get him to come by and turn and face me and disengage his hind end and have his hind end away from me. Okay, so I'm going to throw this lead rope behind me just a little bit, and I'm going to look at his back end. I'm going to point, and as soon as he goes by like that, I'm going to turn him back around just like that. Okay, now I don't want him necessarily to come to me right here. All right, that's the basics of this pointing exercise right there. And we're just going to work on that for a minute. Okay, I don't think he knew what he just did, so we're going to go over it, but I'm going to look at his hind end, point, and then pull his head. I keep staring at his hind end, and I'm leaning over a little bit because that's pressure, and that actually pushes that hind end away from me. Okay, and I am pulling on his nose and getting him to follow his nose back to me. Okay, now we're going to do it again. I'm going to point and pull him back. Okay, now he's way out of position right there. I want him over on the fence, but that's okay. We're just learning. We're just getting started. So I'm going to bring him back over here and set him up again where I want him. And he likes to be really close to me, so he's kind of in my bubble, which drives me crazy. But we're going to work on that too. Okay, get my rope right. I'm going to give him the commands, both verbal and a visible command. I'm going to point and then pull his nose, pull his behind around. Okay, good. Then let him stop right there. So again, where we're going with this is if I point him in a direction and give him that command, and the lead rope's going this way, he knows he needs to go that direction. That's the purpose of this exercise. And I step in, I look at his hind end, disengage his hind end, and move him around like that. Okay, now he's working himself away from the fence again. So we're going to reposition him. And all this is okay. It's just all part of the process, you know. It's just part of the process. And it'll take him a long time to learn this, but this is one more thing that we're going to be working on every time I have him in the round pen. We're going to be working on this exercise. Okay, we're going to do it again. Okay, push him through, pull his nose around, look at his hind end. Okay, so he's starting to get it now. I'm going to let him stand here for a minute and just think about that because he's starting to get it. And he's licking and chewing right now. I don't know if you can hear that, which tells me that he's starting to get it. Okay, going to do it one more time. This time I'm going to try to just point. Okay, he's trying to turn his head into me a little bit, and I don't want him to do that. Just like that. Oh, good job. Perfect. Okay, to start with, that's exactly what we want to do. So that's a pointing exercise, or what we call pointing exercise. I don't know, again, if that's the right name or not, but that's what we call it. And we're just going to work on this until we perfect it. Now, this colt picked it up easy, like he does everything. It's going to take some time to teach your horse that and to get them to internalize that. But I'm going to use it sometimes when we're going through gates. I'm going to want my horse to go through a gate first, or get in the trailer first, or even sometimes just move out of the way. I might need him to move if I'm doing something on the ground. So I'm going to do it one more time. Okay, now he's trying to turn his nose this way. So what I do is I just bump him like that, and then I put my hand up here as a block. Drop the rope there. Okay, good. So even though I dropped the rope, he still did it good. Okay, I don't know if you could see that, but I just block them like this. I just put my hand up like this sometimes to push their head away from me. Okay, good. And then I get him to disengage their back end. Now he's moved himself off the fence again, which I don't like, so I'm going to move him over. And I did that by just bumping him on the side just a little bit. He's used to this whip enough and used to direction enough now that we've done round pen stuff that he's kind of picked up on all that. Okay, so that's the pointing exercise, and I've explained to you why we do it. I'll show you one more thing real quick before we go get the red colt. The other thing that we're going to do is I want this horse to be able to back up off of me shaking the lead rope like this. And in the future, this will be my reins, or might be a lead rope, or it might be my lariat, my lasso. If I'm on the ground working on a cow and he's holding the cow and I need him to back up and give me some pressure on that rope, I want to be able to do this and have him back up. The way that we start to teach that is I get back here like this, I have him stand there, and I just apply pressure here. He's not going to know what to do with this pressure at first, or the movement of that lead rope, but the second that he takes a step back, I'm going to stop doing this. Okay, he moved to the side, but he didn't take a step back right there. And sometimes I'll even help him a little bit. By moving into him and applying the pressure. I don't want him to turn to the side. I want him to turn, there we go. I want him to turn back just a little bit. Or to back up just, there we go. Okay, the second that he gets his feet back, I stop. That looked pretty awkward and kind of clumsy, and it definitely was, but that's how they look sometimes at first. Okay, we're going to try this one more time. Okay, he stepped forward, so he knows he needs to do something, but he doesn't know he needs to step backward yet. So I'm going to keep doing this. I want to keep his head straight to me. Nope, he's stepping forward. So I'm going to go and I'm going to push him back. Okay, now I'll take the pressure off him. You see him licking and chewing right there? Okay, he's telling me, okay, I'm trying. So I've got to appreciate that he's trying. Okay, and we're going to do it again. Okay, he stepped forward again. So he thinks that's what he's supposed to do, but the pressure didn't come off of him. Perfect right there. That was the tiniest step backwards, but he felt it and he knows it, and I released the pressure. That's the first step in teaching him how to back up when I'm doing that. So I just let him think about it. All right, so that's kind of that. That's what we're going to work on this next week, is that pointing exercise and then helping him start to back up. Okay, I'm going to go get the red colt and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so I've got this colt in here. I do not have a halter on him. He is just going to be loose. He's got this, I know you can't see him because he's over here in the corner, but he's got this ding on his face. And so if I put a halter on him, it's just going to hurt. And I don't want this to be a bad experience. Let me move him out to where you can see him just a little bit. I'll get him down there where you can see him. You can, I don't know if you can see that little ding on his face or not, but it's pretty sore. And so this colt, I would say, is more of the average colt maybe. He's definitely more reactive. He's definitely a little bit snorty. He hasn't been as easy. Okay, so I don't want to put a halter on him, but I still need to be working with him. And so the way I'm going to try to do that is I'm going to try to do a pressure and release and see if I can get him to where I can catch him and pet him and everything else without a halter on. The reason I want to use him is I want to show you how sensitive this colt is to pressure. Now, just because this colt's going to be different than the buckskin colt does not mean that he's a bad colt, or that he's going to be a bucker, or that he's going to be a runaway or anything like that. He's just different. And he's got more energy and a little more life to him, and he's just more sensitive all the way around. So I need to change my approach to him. It's not going to be the same approach as we had with the buckskin. It's just going to be a little bit different. And I just need to be aware of that, and I need to be reading this colt. This colt's more reactive, meaning that when he gets in a tight, he tends to pull back, or he kicks into flight mode really quick. And I need to be aware of that, and we need to work on that. So I'm going to do a lot of desensitizing with him and a lot of getting him to trust me. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm just going to teach him a little bit about pressure and release, and I'm going to put some pressure on him. And when he turns his head to me, I'm going to take the pressure off. I know you can't see him right now because he's out of that camera, but he's got his butt to me. And that's kind of what he does. Like if I go to catch him, he's a little bit like that. So we're just going to work on that, and I'm going to show you kind of how I do that. So I'm going to put a lead rope in my hand. This is going to help me with some pressure right here. And I'm going to move this around, and he's sensitive enough that even this much, me doing this puts pressure on him. Okay, I'll just show you a little bit about what he's like. Again, I hope this turns out, because it might not. It might just blow up, and I might have to take a different approach, but we'll see. So I'm going to kind of put a little pressure on him. He's just walking away from me a little bit. And I'm going to walk behind him and put the pressure on him. I'm letting him know right now that I can put pressure on him. And the best thing for him to do is to turn into me and let me rub on him and pet him and all that kind of stuff. So, okay, I'm going to increase my pressure just a little bit. The reason I do that is because I want him to know when I'm going to take the pressure off. So I want him to feel this pressure right here. If I went to try to catch him right now, he would not let me catch him. He'd start snorting and blowing a little bit. So we're just going to establish some things. I'm going to try to whoa him right here. Okay, if I pull my pressure back, okay, he stops and he looks at me. Perfect. Now when he looked at me right there, that's what I want him to do. He's looking away from me. He's got his ear on me. His ears are both pinned back. He doesn't like even my body language to him right now. He doesn't like it. Okay, so I'll show you how I'm going to put a little pressure on him. I'm going to shake this rope. He looked at me. I back up. So his pressure bubble is way out here. It's way different than the buckskin. Okay, so he's not paying attention to me. So I walk into him. Let him go to the bathroom first. Okay, there. What I want him to do is I want him to turn into me and let me walk up to him. So he's kind of figured out right now that if he just keeps his head to me, I'll stop the pressure thing. And he wants me to go away. Kind of show you how I got him in here with this little lead rope I've got around his neck here. But I didn't want to put it on his face, and so I just got it around his neck, and I twisted it a few times like that so that it doesn't fall off. Anyway, it's a really good opportunity to do this. And since this colt is pretty reactive, just let him feel the lead rope on him. And then for me to rub him all over. And right here, like I'm not going to sneak around him. I'm going to let this lead rope hit him and just say, okay, this colt actually does better when I don't sneak. If that makes sense. Good boy. Okay, so I'm going to put a little more pressure on him and move him back around just a little bit. It was good. I think he's starting to pick up what he needs to do to get some release. But I'm going to move him around for a second. Okay, now I'm going to whoa him down here. Okay, I took the pressure. He stopped, he looked at me, and he took a breath right there. Now he's not clued into me at all. There we go. Okay, there we go. I want to get his attention before I do anything else. Okay, so now I'm going to see if I can walk up to him. I don't think he's going to let me walk up to him right now, so I'm going to kind of play this game of pressure and release until he lets me get close to him. Okay, so he's looking at me, so I'm just taking the pressure off of him for a second. I'm letting him know, if you just keep your head to me, I'll kind of calm down. But even right now, like my body language is, I'm squared up to him pretty good, and that's sending him a message too. And so I probably need to relax that just a little bit. I'm gonna just turn to the side there. Okay, now let me see if he'll let me touch him. Okay, I'm gonna walk off right there. And I didn't touch him, but I let him smell me, and he got a little reactive, so I just walked off. Now I'm gonna put a little bit more pressure on him. And he'll start to learn that in order for him to rest and not to have to move his feet, he just needs to stand there and relax. That's what we're doing. That's what I want him to do every time I go to catch him. Whoa. Okay, I'm going to try to walk up to him again. And I want him to turn and face me, but we'll work on that here in just a minute. Okay, kind of wanted to leave right there, but he didn't. So I'm just going to let him know this is all good. It's okay. It's okay. Now he's not comfortable at all with me being right here. I can tell I'm inside his pressure. The reason I know that is because he's kind of moving his head around, and he's not totally set up on his feet. Okay, he's licking and chewing right there, which means okay. He's relaxing a little bit. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. I want him to know that when I do get up here, I'm not trying to hurt him or kill him or anything, which he just a little more reactive. Okay, I'm going to walk over and get my brush. I'm going to do the same thing, and this time I'm going to come up and brush him. Okay, I'm going to move him around again. We're going to do the same thing. And one of the things too is I'm establishing with this horse my leadership, because that's what he needs. And so that's why I'm pushing on him a little bit right here. Okay, I'll let him stop again. Whoa. You see how quick he got that stop? I mean, he's actually got the whoa better than the buckskin, better than Mesa. Okay, I'm going to walk up to him again and see if I can brush him off, if he'll let me. I like to stop a little bit before I get to him, like right before they're going to leave. I like to stop. And you know, if I'd have just walked right up to him right there, he'd have probably left. Now he's anticipating me putting my hands on him, so I'm going to let him relax for a second. Okay. There we go. Now I've brushed him before, so this is nothing new to him, but he doesn't really like it. He's always a little bit uptight about it. And it's just something that we've got to get him over. And if I do any quick movements that he's not ready for, he'll definitely have a reaction to it. Okay, so I'm going to put my rope on him right here. Just to let him know that's okay. Definitely doesn't like that. He's going to move away from me a little bit. When he does, I just apply pressure. He looks at me, I back up, and he moves his front end toward me just a little bit. There. I'm hoping you can see that on the video, but he actually took a step toward me, which is really good. So if you have a reactive colt like this, again, it doesn't mean that they're bad, but you just need to understand that they react a little bit differently. And I can use this pressure a lot better, pressure and release actually a lot better with this kind of a colt than I can a colt like Mesa, because he doesn't care too much. This horse cares. Okay, so he's just standing here on his own. I'm not forcing him to stand here. I don't have a halter on him or anything. Okay, now I need to go to the other side and brush the other side. So work that just a little bit. But I'm going to move him out again, and I'm going to change direction in the round pen so that I can get there. So you saw his reaction right there, just a little more watchy. Watchy, reactive horses like that have that fight or flight really strong in them, they tend to get themselves in trouble more often, and you just have to work with them more. More time. This colt has a really nice, easy way of moving. I mean, I can tell he's going to be super nice to ride. Whoa, whoa. Okay, I think he stopped off out of camera, so I'm going to move him around one more time and get him to stop here where we can see him on the video. Whoa, whoa, whoa. He didn't want to pay attention to me right there, so I started making some noise, and that put pressure on him. Okay, so he's going to be totally different on this side than he was the other side. I'm going to have to go through the exact same thing. Okay. I'm going to let him think about me walking up to him for a second. Okay, I'm going to back off a little bit. I'm going to see if he'll let me up to comb him just a second. Just a little too antsy right there. He doesn't want to relax, so we're going to put pressure on him again. I'm going to intensify my pressure a little bit to let him know, like, it's more comfortable to stand there and let me work with him than it is to run around the round pen. I hope this is making sense and you can see where we're going with it. You just have to be patient with this process, and if you do, it pays off in the long run. I'll use this every time I catch this colt, no matter where he's at. I'll be able to put pressure on him out in the field and get him to just stand there and look at me. It's kind of odd too that horses are, I mean, you know, if you don't do the same thing to both sides of the horse, it doesn't count. He let me work on his left side pretty good, but he was not going to let me touch this right side. Okay, let's see if he's going to ready to stop. Whoa. I'm looking because I think he stopped off video again. If he did, I'll move him around here where you can see him. That time when he stopped, it was real subtle, but he licked his lips and chewed a little bit, which tells me he's like, okay, I'm calming down. Whoa. Right there, good. Let him stand there for a second. Now he's not paying attention to me, which I need him to. And I'm not going to let him walk off. Whoa, big guy. Definitely harder on the right side than the left side. Okay, I'm watching for his little bubble here. I don't want him to walk off. I just want him to relax and just let me comb on him for a minute. Let him get used to that. The other thing I don't like to do is I don't like to act like I'm sneaking around a horse. If you're sneaking, they know. And then when you have to do something at normal speed or whatever, or speed things up a little bit, they really react to it. So I don't want him to feel like I don't want to feel like I'm sneaking around him. Okay, he's pretty jumpy right there, so I'm going to back off again. Okay, did you see how he moved toward me? He's getting it. He just took a big breath and he kind of relaxed for a second. I'm going to comb him one more time. When I'm working with a horse like this, combing them or putting a blanket or saddling them or anything, I want them to stand still, and I don't want them to be putting pressure on their halter or the lead rope all the time. And so this is a really good thing for that too. It just teaches them to stand still. You know, I don't need to be pulling on their head all the time. Okay. Okay, so that's what we're doing with this colt today. I'm not going to try to do a whole lot more than that because he's just not ready. You can see him following behind me, so he's cued into me, and he's thinking I'm okay, and that's a huge step for him. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm not going to push him any harder than that. Big difference between him and the buckskin colt, right? There's just a big difference, and it's not a bad thing. One's not good and one's not bad. It's just different. And so I'm going to have to work with this colt a little bit more, I don't know, just we're going to do things differently. So I'm going to take more time on things and take more time working through all of these exercises. Some things he picks up on faster than Mesa. So again, doesn't mean that he's bad. He's not bad. He's just a little bit different, a little bit more reactive. And we've worked with him, you know, as a colt, we worked with him a fair bit. Both of these colts about the same, but you can see the difference. Anyway, that's going to be our session for this week. So hope you enjoyed the video. Keep those comments coming. Let us know what you think. Love to get feedback from you. And we'll be working with both of these colts during the week. Thanks.